Welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica, and today I want to share with you my super budget friendly and renter friendly laundry closet makeover. So before we get into the project, let me give you a little glimpse of what it looked like before. So basically, it is a pantry and laundry closet all in one, and it's at the end of my kitchen. And so obviously with doing laundry and cooking and being in there a lot, I see it all the time, and it's super boring, it's super bland, and while that might not matter to some, and it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, I am home all the time, and I want to be looking at things that are pleasing to the eye and that make me happy and that make me want to be in that space. So I had a couple of ideas on how we can make this over. We do rent, so like I said at the beginning, these are budget friendly and rental friendly projects. So the first project I wanted to tackle was to cover this wire shelf. Now, this is standard in every place that I've lived. There's usually a shelf or shelves that look like this. I'm sure you've experienced them as well. And they're kind of an eyesore. So I wanted to cover them. Now, when I was doing a little bit of research, there are a couple of different methods that I came across, one being to use wood to cover these, and while that will give you a really beautiful look, there are a couple of reasons I chose not to do it. One, I don't have a lot of the power tools, and while I do know someone who would probably let me use their tools, I wanted to keep this really low budget, and I wanted to get it done fairly quickly. The other reason I chose not to do wood was because this shelf isn't the most stable. I mean, I can put stuff up there and it'll be fine, but I didn't want to add any extra weight. So I decided to use some poster board that I got from the Dollar Tree. Real quick, while I was up there, I did clean these, and I don't know about you, but surfaces like this just really don't get touched. So I took advantage of the fact that I got everything down and I got up there and I went ahead and cleaned them. But here are the supplies for this project. So I got two of the foam poster boards from the Dollar Tree, some of this wood contact paper. You'll need an X-Acto knife and then some shipping tape that I also got from the Dollar Tree. I'll leave everything that I can linked down below. This contact paper is awesome and it's really forgiving and it looks pretty real, especially if you're, not looking closely at it. So the first thing that I did, as you saw, is I measured my shelves, and then I'm going to go ahead and measure my foam board. Now for mine, I had to tape two pieces together, and we'll get to that in a second. But my dimensions were I needed a piece that was 48.5 inches long by 12 inches wide. So we're first going to work on the top, the part that's going to cover the top. So that's what this is, 48.5 inches long, 12 inches wide. So that's what I'm doing right now. I am measuring the 12 inches wide, and then we're going to tape two pieces of the foam board together and then cut it at the 48.5 inches long. For you, you might only need one or you might need three. It just depends on how long they are. I guess I don't know what the standard sizes are for these, but here I am just cutting or measuring the other foam board piece. It doesn't matter what color you use for the foam board, because we're going to be covering it up with that contact paper. So just get whatever you can find. Again, I got mine at the Dollar Tree, $1.25 for each of them, and then the tape also. So super, super budget friendly. And you don't have to use the contact paper that I'm using. You can use whatever you'd like. If you wanted something floral or something basic, totally up to you. So there's a lot of different other budget friendly options. I will link everything that I can, like I said, down below. But I think the Dollar Tree also has contact paper. Walmart certainly does, Target even. So whatever is in your budget or whatever style you're going for, go ahead and use that. But here I am just taping those two pieces together, and I'm using the shipping tape. As I said, I might repeat myself a bunch, but I just want to make sure that I'm covering it well. And I went ahead and covered both sides with tape a couple times just because I wanted them to really be stuck together and for that seam to be fairly sturdy. So this is pretty straightforward, but like I said, tape the front and back a couple times, and you should be good to go. And then we'll cut it to that 48.5-inch length. Now we're moving on to covering the front of the shelving. So when I went ahead and measured that, it was 2 inches in height, we'll say. But my recommendation is that you want to add 2 inches to the height of that front piece. In this video, you're going to see I'm measuring it at 2 inches, and I actually went back and corrected it. So my piece for the front needed to be 48.5 inches long by 4 inches wide. And so again, I went back and corrected it, but just save yourself the step and add 2 extra inches to that height. Again, we are going to be doing this over 2 pieces of poster board to get the correct length. So taping them in between and then cutting them to 48.5 inches. Then finally moving on to the 2 sides that we need to cover, and for those I cut them at 12 inches long and 4 inches wide. These you don't have to tape, obviously, so I went ahead and cut those, and now we're going to move on to assembling the whole thing. So you can see that I've got the biggest one is the part that goes onto the top, and then right now I'm going to tape the front to it. Now you want to make sure that basically the 2 pieces are flush with each other. That's going to give you the best look and the most seamless look, so nothing is sticking out. This part was a little bit tricky, so I don't know if I'd recommend doing it like this. I don't know. Do it however makes sense for you. But I just laid a piece of tape on the front piece and then went ahead and started folding the tape over. It worked okay. And then you're going to repeat that step for the sides to create your shelf. Now for assembling this shelf topper, I'm going to call it, I do recommend, again, making sure that you're taping really well, flipping it over and taping that inner part so that it's nice and sturdy. Do the same thing for the sides as well, and then you will get your shelf topper. I do have a blog post that goes through all of this project and my entire makeover. And then I also have a separate blog post for the washer and dryer makeover, which we're going to get into here in a little bit. I'll leave all of that linked down below as well if you prefer to have some written instructions. But overall, this project is pretty easy. The most time-consuming part is cutting all the pieces and getting them taped together. But after this, we are going to go ahead and cover the whole thing with our wood contact paper. Moving on to covering our shelves, this is what the contact paper looks like up close. And I don't have the best suggestion on how to cover this well, but I did a lot of non-measuring or measuring just by holding it up to the shelf and cutting it. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just cutting a piece that will fit the top of the shelf topper, and we're going to go ahead and apply it. It was a little bit tricky just because this only has 3 sides, so standing it up, it kept wanting to fall down. If you have a better way, I'd love to hear it in the comments. I don't know when I'm going to be doing this project again, but for anyone else who might be tackling this, But as I said, this paper is really forgiving. So I was able to overlap a lot of pieces and you can't even tell really. So there's that. So if you do mess up, it's not the end of the world. I did at the beginning of trying to attempt this have to peel it off a couple times and rework it. So there was a lot of trial and error, but I did get it to work. So here I'm just applying it to the top. You don't need one of these little scrapers. This is actually for my cast iron skillet, but I use it for projects like this all the time. But you just want to make sure that it's as smooth as you can get it, and using your hands will work just fine. But here I am just moving along on the top, getting it all covered, and then you may want to make sure that you're wrapping it around the sides or the edges so that you're getting a more seamless and realistic look. We are going to repeat this for the other 3 sides, again, overlapping a little bit. You really won't be able to tell with this. Like I said, it's very forgiving. But that is how you make the wire shelf topper. I won't bore you with any more of this. It's pretty self-explanatory. And I will give you the final reveal towards the end of this video. But now let's move on to project number 2, which was our washer and dryer makeover. So the reason I wanted to do a little makeover on the washer and dryer is that these are pretty old and they're starting to show some wear on the top. It's a little hard to see in the video, but the top is all scratched and starting to rust in some places. There's other parts of the dryer that are too. And painting isn't really an option. I mean, it could be, but it would be a really labor-intensive process because to get these out of this room, I have to take the door off of our refrigerator. And since we rent, painting an appliance like that, it wasn't something I wanted to do. It was a lot of work for who knows what the payout would be. So the next best thing that I could come up with was to cover them in some contact paper. Now this is actually peel and stick wallpaper. I don't know. I think it's tomato, honestly. I'm not really sure what the difference is. But I got this on Amazon. Again, I'll link it down below. I wanted something that was not like the marbled contact paper or plain white or something boring. I wanted something that was just really pretty. So this is what I found. Now this process might look different depending on what the style of your washer and dryer are. This is a pretty basic machine and I've seen a lot that look like this. So I'm just going to explain how I did it, but it might have to shift depending on what yours look like. But I cut a piece that would for sure cover the entire top. Now with this wallpaper, I didn't really exactly look at the dimensions, so it didn't quite cover everything I needed it to, so I did have to apply 2 separate pieces. I'll show you that in a little bit. But what I did is I taped the paper down and I'm kind of creasing it a little bit with my fingers, and then we're going to go in with a pencil and just make an outline of where I want it to be. So just following that curve all along that side, up around the top, and where the lint catcher is. I don't know, what is that called? Lint catcher? I don't know. Anyhow, so we're just tracing, and that way we have a template that we can cut out here now. So pretty straightforward, actually. Honestly, the hardest part is just keeping it straight because it wants to roll up on itself. But that's the hardest part, except for applying it. Applying it can be a little bit tricky, and I haven't done enough work with contact paper to really know exactly how to make sure that there's no creases and air bubbles. The top of this turned out really well. I'm going to show you the door because that didn't turn out the best. But again, if you're really looking closely, it might not look the best, but from even just taking a step back, you can't really even tell. So I don't really care. This is a temporary solution. I can always change it out. It's not a big deal. It didn't cost me a lot of money. So that's the way I'm going to look at it. And in my opinion, I drastically improved the look of the washer and dryer by doing this. Anyway, so now that we've got everything cut out, I am just dry fitting it, making sure that it fits. It wasn't perfect, like I said, but pretty good. And then I'm just going to start applying it. I start up in that left-hand corner and then work my way down. I think that's the best way to do it, is just do it top down, because otherwise you really can get a lot of air bubbles and things like that. Really quick, I went to erase all of those pencil marks. You could do it after you've applied it, doesn't really matter. But you definitely don't want those on there, you know, with the final look. But we're erasing, and now we're going to get to applying. I found it easiest to tape down the sides a little bit just to keep it in place and have it from shifting so that it was fairly centered, or centered as I could get it just by looking at it. And we're just going to go ahead and get to it. I don't have really any suggestions for doing that other than, as I said, doing it from the top down. Make sure you take your time. You can use one of those scraper tools if you want, or just use your hands, making sure to just apply a little section at a time and really rubbing it and getting it smoothed out to the best of your ability. Now, if you do get air bubbles, you can easily remove those by just taking a pin or a needle and puncturing a tiny little hole and then smoothing it out, and that does wonders. So don't worry too much about the air bubbles. I would try to get any like larger ones out. You can usually get those out pretty easily, but those small ones, don't worry about that at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this, and then we'll move on to the doors, or the door for the dryer and then the lid for the washer. Moving on to the door of the dryer, this one was particularly difficult because it's got that handle, and I did some of this off camera because I honestly got kind of frustrated. I couldn't quite figure out how to keep this up and how to make it look good. It actually took me a couple weekends to finally finish this project because I kept having to remove the paper and start over. I just couldn't get it to look good. And this door didn't turn out the best. There are definitely creases. It doesn't bother me because I really can't see them unless I'm looking at it really closely. So my suggestion with the dryer door is to, again, start from the top and work your way down. But when you're going and tracing and cutting, just using your pencil and tracing around that handle really worked well, and I was able to get a pretty clean look with that. And then I made sure that I left a couple of inches on the top, bottom, and left-hand side so that I could wrap it around the door itself and, you know, fold the corners to make them look really nice. And then where the hinges are, I was able to use an X-Acto knife, and that really worked well to get a clean look. So I'm happy with how those parts turned out. It's just, I don't know if it was this particular piece of the wallpaper just wanted to crease really bad, but it is what it is. I didn't care if it was perfect, but it looks a lot better than it did. So now that we've got the bigger projects out of the way, I want to focus on decor. And I had a couple of little DIYs that I wanted to tackle. And the first was this picture frame. So it was a black plastic picture frame that we had bought for something, and it just wasn't being utilized. So I decided to prime it and then paint it in this antique copper color. And I'm going to show you what the plan is with this in a little bit. but I just thought that it would look really good in this space, and I was right. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And then I had thrifted these wire baskets a while back, and obviously that yellow color is not the vibe that I'm going for. So I just painted them in a matte black just so they would tie in a little bit better with the space. And my plan was to hang them on the wall and then store like my dryer balls and some other things in there, but I decided to actually just put them on that wire shelf, and they look great and they're great for storing. So that turned out really well. But since I already had them on hand, I really wanted to utilize things that I already had and not buy a whole lot for this project. So then moving on to what I'm going to do with that picture frame, and then another one that I actually had. And I decided to find some really beautiful prints on Etsy and put them in there. I really haven't focused on wall art or wall decor. And so that's something that I'm trying to do this year. I actually bought quite a few really pretty frames for my kids' school pictures and family pictures, and I won't show those because I don't share them online. But I'm really happy with that. So just little spaces where I can add some wall art, I'm going to try to do this year. So you just saw that print. I will leave that one and the next one down below where you can buy them on Etsy. They were really inexpensive. I got them when they were on sale. And then I have them printed at Walmart, actually. Normally I do them at Walgreens, but I couldn't get them in time for when I wanted this project to be done. So I ended up printing them at Walmart, and they turned out great. So I've got that first one, and then this one I just thought was really sweet. I've got two little girls, and so it kind of reminded me of them, and I thought it would look great in this frame. Like I said, I thrifted this a long time ago, a couple years ago maybe. It didn't have a back, but I just used some leftover poster board or foam board and just taped it in there, and we're good to go. But I really love how these look, and again, I'll show you at the end the final result. But that is it, I think, for the DIYs. Not a whole lot, but again, just using things that I already had on hand to keep the cost down. So now I did want to show you one more thing. It's not really decor, but I picked up this collapsible laundry basket. So I had seen them, and they're a little bit pricey, I feel like, for a laundry basket. I think it was like $25. But I don't know, it's kind of worth it because I do live in a small space, and so any room that I can get back is great. So what I did is in our bathroom linen closet, we had a basket that was falling apart that just collects our towels. And so I ended up throwing that away, transferring our old one to the bathroom, and then now we have this collapsible one for the laundry room, and it's a space saver, and I really love it. So just wanted to share that really quick. And then I forgot about this plant. So I also wanted to add some greenery. And because this space is so dark, it doesn't get any natural sunlight whatsoever, I thought I would get a hanging fake plant. I've never had a fake plant ever. I don't even have any plants inside. I've tried, but this, where we live, is pretty dark. So I can't really, nothing really thrives inside. So anyway, I found this and I really like it. I wouldn't say it's the most realistic looking, but it's certainly not super fake looking either, if that makes sense. And it got really good reviews. I just think it's really pretty, and I thought it would go great kind of in the corner of the room where I can really see it as I'm standing in the kitchen, and it just adds a little bit extra. So really happy with that. But now let's just move on. We've got all the DIYs done. Let's move on to actually putting everything together. So I'm going to start by hanging this plant. I already hung the little hook there in the corner. This room has that weird angled corner for some reason. So I thought that was a really great place. It's just adds a little bit of an extra touch. You can also see on the wire shelf that I just put some of those storage cubes up there. Those I already had on hand, and I just have some miscellaneous stuff and then our reusable grocery bags. So they're in there. We'll style that up a little bit. It's nothing fancy. It's really just for storage, but it already looks better with that wire shelf topper. So now we're going to hang some stuff on the walls. And because we rent, I do put nails in the walls, but I didn't want to do that in here mainly because this is where our circuit breaker and a lot of wires are in there. And so I didn't really want to be hammering into the wall and hit something. Maybe that's not an issue, I don't know, but I didn't want to take a chance. So we're going to use some command strips. I got these on Amazon, of course, but they're for a broom, a mop, whatever. So I do have a mop and a broom. And so I thought getting those off the floor and just having a designated spot for them would be great. I'm really liking how they're working. You just pop that little gray piece out and then you can push your, I don't know, broom or whatever you want to put in there. So we've got those. So that's kind of a little storage area that I have. So I put my mop and my broom, and then I have a fold, like a laundry drying rack, I guess. And then that's also where I'll put that collapsible laundry basket. So I just organized that space a little bit better so things weren't just shoved in there. So I'm really happy with how that looks. And then we're going to hang some art. So there is that really pretty picture of those two little girls doing the laundry together. I'm using I don't know what they are. They're for hanging pictures, and they kind of Velcro together. And so you saw earlier that I had put those on the picture frames, and then I Velcro the other part to it, and then I just take the sticker off or the peel, whatever it is, and then I can stick it right on the wall. That's the easiest way I've found to hang those pictures, using those. But I just thought that looked so good with the hanging greenery. I don't even know what kind of plant that is, but it's so pretty. And then this larger frame, I went back and forth as to where to put it because I also have this vintage basket that I found a long time ago. And I originally had bought it for a different project and it just didn't fit. And I couldn't figure out what to do with it. But I thought it would look really nice in this space. My only issue was that because it's vintage, I didn't want to put one of those command strips on there. Now, it did have one of those like claw hanging things so you could hang it with a nail. But again, I didn't want to be pounding any nails into this space. And so I had a little bit of a conundrum with that, but I did come up with a solution. So I got this picture hung where I wanted it. I think it looks really nice and it fills out this space right here. And then I decided to hang that basket from I don't know, the pole or whatever of the wire shelf. And it took a little bit of finagling, but I did come up with a solution. So I dug through my stash and I found this safety pin that I think I got off of a tag that was attached to some of my clothes. I don't know. But I had it and I thought it would be perfect. So I fed it through that piece on the back of the basket. And then I'm going to take some cotton twine that I have on hand. It's white, so it should blend in pretty easily with the wire shelf. And we're just going to hang it on there. And it's not perfect, but I thought it was a pretty good solution. And that way I can still utilize the basket. It still is alongside that picture. And I thought it really turned out nice. I'm pleasantly surprised by how it looks. So we're going to go ahead and hang this, and then we'll add some of the final touches. now on to the final reveal. I am so beyond happy with how this turned out. It might not seem like a lot, but I think we've come a long way from that really boring, bland laundry closet that I showed you at the beginning of the video. I think a lot of little touches really made a huge difference in this space. And now it's a place that I want to be in. It's so pretty looking at it from my kitchen, and I'm just so happy with it, and I hope it gave you some inspiration on some things that you can do in your own laundry room. But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If you like this video and want to see more like it, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. I share a lot of these kinds of videos. So yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.